Scales and arpeggios form such a big part of the foundation of learning the piano, such a big part of the music that we play, that we do need to know them, we do need to practice them, we do need to be able to think in key. But students are so resistant often to playing scales and arpeggios. As a teacher of more than 40 years, I've very rarely found a student that can't wait to go and learn their scales and arpeggios. And I've often thought about why this might be and had discussions with students, discussions with other teachers, discussions with the teachers I coach. They all find the same thing, that it's quite rare for students to be keen to practice their scales. They see them as a dull exercise, but I think it's more than that. I think they just don't often understand how they work and also why they are such a big part of what we do and what we play. So one of the things that I like to do from the start is to point out in the music scale patterns, arpeggio patterns. This begins to make them more relatable. Another problem is that often students are only introduced to scales in the run up to an exam. And again, this is not okay. This is not the point of scales. They're not something just to be examined. They are the foundation of everything that we play in Western music. So what can we do? Because students are so resistant quite often. And over the years, I've tried many, many, many things. And one of the things that I've realised is that what they see on the page, when they see the written notation, just doesn't mean a lot to a lot of students as they're playing. In other words, there's a disconnect between what they see in the notation and what they're doing on the piano. And I thought back to my student days, and I was one of those students that didn't want to play scales, didn't really understand why I had to play scales for many years, until the penny dropped. And then I realised, gosh, I really do need to know these backwards, forwards, standing on my head. And it's beating that resistance. Part of that has been trying to find a way to make them more relatable. So I have been really delighted when my colleague Ben Andrews, who was a piano teacher, he was a head of piano at Stowe School and is a film composer, and he lives now out in America, sent me last year some of his new scale books. From the start, they won me over, and I have been introducing them to my students over the last few months. And this morning I received Ben's manual of scale of arpeggios. Sorry, can't see me. His manual of scales and arpeggios. And I just want to take a dip inside. And over the coming few videos, I am actually going to be working with some students on these so that you can see exactly how quickly I'm finding that students are now learning their scales. Because one of the things that ties them in knots often is the consistent finger patterns. So what Ben has done with this book, which I think is just so clever and really helpful, it's all color coded, and the scales are first of all learned in clusters. So this is particularly helpful for students that play strings, because when you have young students that play strings and then come onto the piano, if you're a string player, if you're a cello player, if you're a violinist, this is finger one. And if you have a young student and they're trying to master reading music, they're trying to master two different instruments, they do get very, very confused when they see the scales written out on the stave with the numbers, and they're thinking that this is finger one. It can be really confusing, and it just sounds so basic, but it's a really important point actually. Having this color-coded diagram really does help eliminate that. And students, particularly young students, really relate to this. This is particularly good also for kinesthetic learners. There are a lot of people that struggle to learn set patterns in notation. And what you have here, the colour-coded notation linked to where the notes are, but also playing them in clusters, and you know this is where your thumb goes. It's going to go in C major, it's going to go in C, and then it's going to go on F. If we're just doing one octave, we'll keep it really simple to start with. So we would learn it first of all in these clusters, and then it's amazing, or maybe not amazing, maybe it's really just common sense, but I've found it quite amazing how quickly students then, they learn their scales, and they also remember the finger patterns. We don't have this thing where they're not sure when we move on to 2 octaves, where do I turn my thumb under? I don't know if you can see this here, and I will drop some into further videos so that you can see. But it's quite ingenious, even though it may be simple in the idea. It's a fantastically put together book, and it's a really great idea, and it's something that hasn't been done much before, certainly not in a manual like this, going up through right to F sharp major, you know, 6 sharp, 6 flats, also covering enharmonics. So this is published by Hal Leonard, by the way, and I'm going to be doing some more videos working with students so you can see how they learn and how quickly, and I'll be introducing them as it will be completely new to the students, so you'll see how quickly they grasp what they need to do. And it's like they have this light bulb moment and think, aha, that's how it works. All of this time I've been trying, you know, they've been trying to remember this pattern with all these different sharps, flats and combinations of, and now with this color-coded way of doing things and doing them in blocks in this way, it just seems to be having a wonderful effect on my students. So do look out for further videos, and